What's the true measure of being an effective marketeer? I think it's when the conversations and the impact you're having are being felt outside of marketing, ironically. It's when you're seen as a trusted partner to the business and they're coming to you to understand how they can achieve their objectives. I think marketing needs to be a strategic enabler like that. And when you're having those conversations, that's when it's natural for marketing to be in the boardroom, when marketing is seen as an investment, not a cost, because it's an enabler. The work we do to understand and make marketing effective should happen in the background, and the business should just see the impact of it.
You need to listen internally for what the commercial drivers are around cost control or around revenue targets, and be very sensitive to what marketing levers you can help pull to achieve those commercial goals. So I think that is really, really critical to an effective and successful marketer today. The second thing I would say is stardust. Creating impact, delivering brilliant creative work that makes people sit down and leaves a really lasting impression is hugely important.
We know there are a number of factors that all can improve effectiveness, but in many ways they come back to one of the key tenets of the Ehrenberg-Bass thinking, which is about reach and about our ability to bring new customers, new consumers into our brands, because we know that you just simply don't grow long term unless you're constantly bringing consumers in. That means it has to be a very memorable delivery, and we know that emotional campaigns are particularly good at doing that. And within emotional campaigns, Les and I talk a lot about fame campaigns, which are the ones that get people talking, because that takes an emotional response to a greater level.
Behavioural science is a crucial way of boosting out effectiveness. It's essentially a body of knowledge all about why people do the things they do, how that you can affect behaviour change. Now, everything we do as marketers is about behaviour change. We want people to pay more for a brand, buy a brand more regularly, or switch for a competitor brand. All of that is about changing behaviour. So why wouldn't you draw on 100 years or so of work and knowledge from some of the leading scientists around the world?
I think how you measure effectiveness is really important. So if you're marketing to existing customers and you're trying to increase value, then I would be interested in my conversion rates through to sale, but I would measure that against a control cell as opposed to against the existing base in itself. If I was running acquisition campaigns, I'd be much more interested in my cost of acquisition, and I'd be much more interested in what the ultimate value is of the customer at the end of it, to make sure that I'm not spending too much money to acquire a customer and not generating enough value from that customer in the long term.
I think the challenge and the missing piece is that annual review of spend and stepping back, reviewing strategy, and then allowing all the different options to compete and make their case. For me, that's the point of interception. I can't tell a marketer what the right media mix is. I can tell them to get their strategy straight, and then I can tell them to open their mind to all the different options being presented. And a good media agency will do that. There are some issues that maybe media agencies are also biased. That can happen, but a good media agency will lay before you all the different temptations, and then you can make an informed choice for that particular period.
On the one hand, you've got digital attribution, which is a very tactical way of looking at digital spend. And that's fantastic for getting real granularity in how well digital's performing. But on the other end, you've got kind of econometrics and then different brand studies, longer term studies that give you a broader picture. So I think really there are lots of techniques. They're all good in their own right, but there's no one technique to rule them all. And I think it's about working out what the objective is, working out what the challenge is, working out what kind of data you've got to fuel these, and then using all of those together to come up with the right technique for you.
Sure, many marketeers, including myself, have gone from 30-second brand creative to 10-second direct response, and your business is okay for a few months. Then a few years later, you realise your brand's died. And I think really science, you shouldn't just measure the easy to measure bits, which is the short term. You need to challenge yourselves to measure the harder to measure bits, because that's the profound stuff, and that's the mistake any of us could make, which is you optimise your marketing spend to generate short-term sales, your base is declining, and then a few years later your brand will be disappearing from the minds of consumers.
I think it's up to the marketers to change the image sometimes people might have of them. So one is to, when they're doing things such as econometric modelling, to engage the key people. They do engage the underwriters, they're engaging the finance teams and the pricing teams. So you're building credibility. The second thing is, I think, is to take every opportunity to go and have a conversation with people. So I will go and talk to our CEO, I will go and talk to our finance director, so they understand our perspective and what we're trying to do, but also we can understand from them what they want to hear from marketeers. So it does work both ways.
Make yourself understood. Create the data sets that mean something to that group, and create a language that they can understand, that you can both use to drive the organisation forward and create more value.
There's a danger, I think, always though, of just focusing on the science. Good versus bad creative can be multiples more powerful and effective. So I'm absolutely kind of keen that we also need to protect the importance of proper creativity.